Okay guys, so I have a very interesting training drill that you can do to basically practice the concepts of military raiding or commando raiding. Okay, so basically in a military raid, what happens is, let's say you are deployed and you're going after to raid a terrorist compound, right? Most frequently, the maneuvers that you use, besides a frontal assault, is to flank, right? You will have one element providing suppressive fire, and then another element doing a flanking maneuver, right? So, flanking or enveloping is one of the most effective ways to conduct a raid, right? So, now I'm going to show you a very simple physical training exercise that is like a symbolic representation of practicing reading principles, right, through kinesthetic learning. Okay, so because I'm filming this in a country where the public is not allowed to own or carry firearms in public, so I can only use an improvised training aid while I'm filming in this country, right? But if I'm going overseas to film, then I can film contents with actual firearms. But that will be in the future, right? So for now, I'll just use the improvised training aid. So this is just a mob stick, okay? So basically, okay, you can see here, right, that there is an orange cone, okay? So let's say that represents a terrorist compound, okay? And so in this physical training drill, basically what you're going to do is you're going to practice the flanking maneuvers at three angles: a half flank, a full flank, and an envelopment. Okay, so take for example, there is a terrorist compound, right? So your first position would be to be in suppressive fire, right? You'll be the suppressive element first. So you'll start off here. In any way possible. I mean, you can shoot right-handed, you can do offhand shooting, right? You will stand here, right, to simulate that you are the suppressive element. Immediately after that, you would run, okay? You would run to this area here, right? So I'll demonstrate. Okay, so after being a suppressive element, I would run. Okay, so now I'm in a half flank position, right? So I simulate I'm firing off several rounds at the terrorists, okay? Then I will run back again. Back to suppressive element. Then I'll run again. So it's like a short relay. Now I run to full flank. Okay, fire off a few shots, then I run back. To suppressive element again. Finally, I run to envelope. And last, I end the exercise by being in suppressive element. Okay, so this is the half flank position. Okay, so from here, let's say the terrorist is just behind a barricade that covers his front, but his half flank position is exposed, right? So from here, I have clear shot, right? My ROE is clear, right? I have clear sight of him, clear shots. I can fire off at him, right? Target neutralized, right? Okay, so I neutralize him from this position. Okay, so this is a full flank, okay? So full flank, that means basically you're directly at the side of the terrorist, right? The side of the target. So from here, it's the same now, okay? So I can shoot from barricade, right side, supported, unsupported, up to you, right? Over the barrel, barricade, over the barricade, right? If you want to, depending on the range that you're using, you want to fire without cover on concealment also can, okay? Like I say, this drill is just practice of the principles of flanking. Okay, so now we move to envelop. So envelopment is basically you're at the back of the terrorist already, right? So you can backstab the enemy, right? You have full tactical advantage, right? So practice of principles again, right? You can fire from here, right? You want to fire kneeling, standing, all up to you lah, okay? You want to fire in the open also can, okay? So like I say already, this is just a practice of the principles of reading, right? So of course, for a real life envelopment, you know, when you are conducting a real military raiding operation, when you are in envelopment phase, at that point you are already going to comms to your suppressive element to stop firing, right? To prevent friendly fire before you engage, right? But for this drill, of course, you don't need to do that lah, okay? Okay, now, so I've been saying that this is a symbolic drill and also a kinesthetic learning of the principles of raiding and all that stuff. But actually, it is also a tactical drill. Why? Okay, come, let me explain. Now, let's say in a real environment, couple of distance here, maybe that is really an actual terrorist, not a terrorist compound. Let's say there is an actual terrorist, okay? He's down there, okay? So, you look at the distance and then you look at my running area. So, do you think that it is possible that this can also be done in the actual scale, right? Rather than just a symbolic exercise? The answer is yes lah, okay? So, very simple lah, okay? Let's say you got one guy, you're working in teams, right? A fire team. One guy already holding the terrorist at gunpoint here, okay? Offense shooting, okay? So of course down here it's open lah. I just use a orange cone to illustrate, but he may be undercover, okay? In a real life scenario lah, okay? Then your teammate is already either providing suppressive fire or holding down the overwatch position, right? So take for example, a terrorist is already hiding behind a barricade at that red cone, okay? So the scale for this exercise is also actual, okay? Then it's very simple, right? If he's hiding behind the barricade, I can run to half flank, right? If I can spot him here, right? The terrorist here, from here I can really fire off a few shots, right? My ROE is clear, basically, okay? Okay? If he's hiding behind a barricade in which I cannot engage him through half flank, I can move to full flank here, right? From here, right, if his barricade is frontal, now I got full access and full sight of him, I fire off and I neutralize him. But if let's say his barricade also cover his sight, I must envelop him, right? So now I move to his rear, okay? So at this point of time, I can successfully neutralize him, okay? So this exercise can be both, right? Can be practice, can be a symbolic exercise in which I practice the kinesthetic learning of raiding principles through half flank, right? And everything is not to scale, but it's just a symbolic exercise, right? Or this exercise can also be a tactical exercise in which everything is to scale, right? The terrorist, instead of the terrorist compound, is 10 meters away from me, and then I'm doing a half flank, a full flank, or a envelopment, right? Adjust the reps and the sets for this exercise according to your weapons, your gears. If you are like me wearing PT kit and using improvised training aid, probably you can do more reps, right? So what counts as one rep is here, suppressive element, run to half flank, back, run to full flank, back, run to envelop, and then back. That's one rep, right? So you adjust your reps, your sets, and your break time according to your weapons or your gears, right? So if you are living in an environment like me where public cannot have access to firearms, right? You can, and then you're wearing PT kit and using an improvised training aid, probably you can do higher reps, higher sets, and lower break times. But if you are living in countries where you have a private range, you have access to firearms and equipment like body armor and all that stuff, you want to simulate the real loadout that you're going to use during deployment or actual gunfight, then of course you will do lesser reps, lesser sets, and also increase of your rest times. Right? This is to compensate for your equipment, right? The weight of your equipment, right? So because I'm training in a non-firearm environment now, there won't be any usage of live ammunition, right? But if, like I say, you're in a private range, you got access to live ammunition as well, you can run this drill without live ammunition, or you can run this drill with live ammunition, right? So you can just simply do, you can fire off a few shots at suppressive element position, then when you run to half flank, you fire off a few shots, run back, you fire off a few shots again, and then maybe two shots here, 2 shots at half flank, 2 shots at full flank, 2 shots at envelop, 2, 4, 6, 8, right? Then when you come back from envelop, you fire off another 2 shots. So one rep will fire off 10 rounds, right? 2 here, 4, 6, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. Yeah. So one rep you will fire off 14 shots. Yeah. So that's basically the drill, right? So this is primarily a counter-terror drill in which you are conducting a military raid in an open area against a terrorist compound, right? And this is a kinesthetic learning of the principles of reading. So it's a symbolic exercise as well. So that's the benefit of practicing this, basically this physical training drill, right? Your dual purpose training, right? You're practicing the symbolic kinesthetic learning of flanking principles in a military raid. Or you also, the second purpose is that you are doing an actual tactical exercise in which you are actually standing here and the terrorist is just a few meters away from you, and as one teammate hold the suppressive element or the overwatch element, you run a flank, right, and neutralize or sanitize the area or neutralize the terrorists, right? So very simple. Okay, so let's talk about military raiding. So military raiding, right, of course flanking will be a bit larger, right? You can run from hundreds of meters, right? Suppressive element can be far away, right? And then you would have to probably trek through, run through, forested areas, right? And then engage from a distance, right? But by doing this drill, you actually practice and it drills into you the principles of reading, right? So if you are not trained in flanking maneuvers, what happens is when you're deployed, the only thing you think about is frontal assault. But that doesn't work all the time, right? Many times you need to run flanking maneuvers as well. And in flanking maneuvers, there are many kind of flanking maneuvers, right? It's not just one flank. You can do a half flank, you can do a full flank, right? The traditional stereotypical flank, or you can do a envelopment, right? So basically flanking developed to envelopment, right? So if you're trying to understand reading principles, this is one way you can understand it better through kinesthetic learning.